Hello, 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 hello. This is Warren Redlick. Hello, hello, hello. I want to thank everybody for watching. We're going to talk about Cybertruck today. Cybertruck t-shirts are available at elonbits.com. Please check out elonbits.com for the merch. I want to start with this really quickly. Just before I went live, Breakneck Trent on Twitter asked me why I'm doing live streams on YouTube instead of doing X Spaces. X Spaces are not video. I have video content that goes with this. I'm going to put up a bunch of images. X Spaces is not ideal for that. I do think that at some point live streaming on X, aka Twitter, will make sense, but I don't think it's ready for prime time yet. I think there's a large YouTube audience here. I have something like 70,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I will just mention that when I post the same videos on X Twitter, they get far less views and people watch them far less long. There's a big difference between the YouTube audience and the Twitter audience, the X audience. So it may change, but for now, this is very clearly a better audience for long form content like this. So we're going to talk about Cybertruck, and there's a ton of hype. The first thing I want to cover here is the hype. The hype is accelerating. I think it's too soon. We're going to talk about when Cybertruck's going to be delivered, but people are going nuts. And I mean, I think it's understandable that people are going nuts about Cybertruck. I'm nuts about Cybertruck. I have two Cybertruck orders, and one in the first hour, and one, probably like number 10,000 and number like 500,000 on the second order, or 200,000 on the second order. And I'm actually thinking about when I get, like, I'm going to be living in Japan when my Cybertruck is ready for delivery, probably. I'm thinking about coming back and driving around for a week and then selling it. I'm also thinking about coming back, driving around for a week, and then shipping it to Japan. I actually have a friend in Japan who is getting to work, who is asking around about whether I can export when I can ship my Cybertruck to Japan and bring it into the country. He didn't think so, so it seems less likely. He's one of the directors of Tesla Club Japan. So more hype, more pictures everywhere of Cybertruck. We've seen the Cybertruck camo before. People are seeing it more and more and more. There was this video. This is the hot video of the week. There's this video of Cybertrucks, and like, I don't know, it's almost like they're looking for UFOs, how blurry these pictures are. The video starts off like with decent resolution and just goes incredibly blurry, but if you look, there's this shot of the Cybertruck trunk, the front trunk on Cybertruck, and it seems smaller than we might have expected, significantly smaller than F-150 Lightning. I personally don't think the frunk is a big deal. I have a frunk in my Model X, rarely use it. I have a frunk in my Model 3, rarely use it. There's a lot of room in the back of a Model 3. There's a ridiculous amount of room in the back of a Cybertruck. There's a ridiculous amount of room in the back of the Model X. I have some stuff in the front trunk, but I almost never use that. I'm not even sure what's in there. Do I think Cybertruck will eventually go to the 48-volt system, D-Batch says. I think Cybertruck will be 48-volt for the... I think they said that. The Cybertruck is going to have a 1,000-volt powertrain. It's going to have 48-volt for the low-voltage hardware that's normally 12-volt in a regular car. Not all the 48-volt stuff will be made in-house. This on Cybertruck. All the 48-volt stuff will be made in-house for the next generation vehicle. That's what I remember about it. We're going to talk about Cybertruck size. Commuter Branchline says Cybertruck size may be a pertinent consideration of ship to Japan. When I was in Tokyo, I saw a Cadillac Escalade. The Escalade is bigger than Cybertruck, so I don't think that's an issue. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the size of Cybertruck, the dimensions first, and then the weight. What you can see here is when they did the reveal back in, I think this was 2018 or 2019, they had the length at 231.7 inches, width at just under 80 inches, the height at 75 inches, 6 seats, 6.5 foot bed. So some things have changed. Remember this number here, 231.7, basically 232 inches. This was about the length of a Ford F-150 Super Cab. I think it was the Super Cab with a 5.5 foot bed. So this is a 6.5 foot bed and about the same length as the Ford F-150. So this is from the call. Homar's blog tweets this, but during a call, it was revealed that the Cybertruck will measure less than 19 feet bumper to bumper. I think Elon said it was under 19 feet. Okay, what's 19 feet? And have a bed over 6 feet in length, not 6.5 feet in length, over 6 feet in length. 6 feet in length would be 72 inches. 6.5 feet would be 78 inches. So it sounds like it's more than 72 inches and probably less than 78 inches, less than 6.5 feet. So maybe it's 6 feet 2 inches or something like that. Like me, I'm 6 feet, but on my dating apps, I'm 6 feet 2. So, um, so 19 feet times 12 inches would be 228 inches. Remember, before it said 232 inches, so less than 228 inches. So Cybertruck's going to be about 5 inches shorter than we thought. If it's 227, that's less than 19 feet. That's down from 232. So 5 inches shorter than we thought. Now, is it narrower? It was 79.8 inches. I think that's without the mirrors and the earlier description. Is it still 80 inches wide? Did they bring it down to 79 inches? This matters for frontal surface area. The height was 75 inches. Did they bring it down a couple inches to maybe 73 inches? If they can bring the size of Cybertruck down a little bit here and there, those changes will reduce frontal surface area and improve efficiency. The length doesn't have any effect on frontal surface area. May have a slight effect on coefficient of drag. I'm not sure about that. But the width and the height are important for frontal surface area. So if they could bring the width in an inch, if they could bring the height down an inch, it's a pretty significant impact on range, especially in highway driving. So that's something we're going to see. Now, weight. Cybertruck weight is critical for range. The less they can make it, it's also critical for the cost of building it. The less it weighs, the less material goes in it, the less raw material costs. That's a big deal. So Limiting Factor did a post. This was, do I have this? I think I have this. This was July 25th, so a little while ago, but I wanted to come back to this. He said, based on calculations from 18 months ago, he thought 5100 was the lowest possible weight for the short range, 250 mile range, and 80 kilowatt hours. See, I think 80 kilowatt hours is not enough for 250 miles of range. I think it's a dream if it would be, I think it's cautiously optimistic to say Cybertruck will get 3 miles a kilowatt hour. 3 miles a kilowatt hour, that would be 240 miles of range. You're going to have to do at least 83 kilowatt hours to get to 250 miles of range. And he was calling 66,650 pounds for the long range, 500 miles and 200 kilowatt hours. And based on what we know, he'd said he'd probably add 200 pounds to each version. So, and one of the critical details here in his, let me make this bigger. If you look, he's got the F-150 Lightning at 6,100 pounds. That's the smaller battery pack version of the F-150 Lightning. Now, Cybertruck is significantly smaller than the F-150 Lightning. It's shorter by, again, about 5 inches, maybe more. I think it's shorter in height. I think it may be a little bit narrower in width. And I would expect that Cybertruck will weigh significantly less than the F-150 Lightning. So I'm still calling 55. I had previously called under 5,000 pounds. I think the fact that it's no longer a full-on exoskeleton, the fact that it's got the castings, it's got a significant amount of structure and underneath the steel, suggests that the weight will be more than I predicted before. I don't think it adds a lot of weight. You know, I had called it under 5,000 pounds before. You know, I think maybe we're going to add 500 pounds. I'm still going 5,500 pounds. I think I'm optimistic, but we'll see. Mark Plott thinks 6,500 pounds. Mark, you think it's going to weigh more than an F-150 Lightning? Mooney Reel says, people are still talking about this thing coming out. I give it another 2 or 3 years at least. I won't forget about my $100 reservation. I'm looking at you, Elon. Okay, so let's talk about delivery schedule. Where am I? At this. Okay, so delivery schedule. In the Q1 call, Elon said, we're anticipating having a delivery event, a great delivery event, probably in Q3. Probably in Q3. That would be before the end of September. We're in early August right now. They're still testing release candidates. I don't think the end of September is looking good for a real event. And in the Q2 call, they said we can't wait to start delivering it later this year. They didn't say in Q3 in the Q2 call. They said later this year. So I think I saw it one other time that they're going to deliver later this year. So I think optimistically they're going to deliver a very small volume of Cybertrucks in December. I don't think we're going to see deliveries before December. If we see deliveries, if you go back to the Plaid event, there were like 25 vehicles delivered, and then there was a lag before we actually saw significant volume. So I'm just going to say, don't get your hopes up too high on Cybertruck delivery. I think we're looking at maybe 20 to 50 vehicles delivered at the Cybertruck delivery event towards the end of the year, maybe December. Probably more employees than anybody else getting them. There'll be a few other people getting their Cybertrucks. And I don't think we're going to see any significant volume of deliveries until, maybe even second quarter of 2024. I still would like to imagine myself getting my Cybertruck in March of next year. I think it may be pushed to June, and I'm okay with that. Take your time, Elon. Get it right. Take your time, Drew. Get it right. Along those lines, I wanted to mention one other key detail with Cybertruck. I think we may have talked about this before, but Drew Baglino said, here in Texas, we're preparing to launch our Cybertruck cell, which is 10% higher energy density than current production. Now, what this means is for the same amount of kilowatt hours or the same mass, you get 10% more energy density. You get 10% more battery. So if what was going to be a 100 kilowatt hour pack, with the same weight, you can have a 110 kilowatt hour pack. I think they've been talking about, don't hold me to this, I think it's going to be a 140 kilowatt hour pack or 142 kilowatt hour pack. With a 10% bump, what that really means is it's the weight of what would have been a 130 or 128 kilowatt hour pack. So they've also, they've done a lot of progress on cells, but against our battery energy density targets, the Cyber Cell is at our expectations on a like-for-like electrochemistry basis, where we're yet to integrate silicon or in-house cathode production, both reviewed on Battery Day, which do bring significant further energy density costs and cost improvements. That's a topic for another day. I would love to see another Battery Day, by the way. Drew, do a Battery Day. Leave Elon out. Just Drew, do a Battery Day. So they're making progress on CyberCell, and that's going to be a big deal. So I've got some other stuff to talk about, but I want to turn to the chat first. Oh, I got through a lot fast. Wow. Let's see. Was there more I wanted to add? No, okay, that's all I wanted to cover for Cybertruck. So let's see what we've got in the chat. I thought I had a lot more there. Let's see. Cybertruck base price will be. It's a good question. I'm going to guess that the initial Cybertrucks delivered will be priced just under $80,000. There's a lot of questions. Will the first Cybertrucks delivered be tri-motor, dual motor, quad motor? Will they be priced at, under $80,000 so you can get the tax credit? Will they be over $100,000 because the supply is so short and demand is so high that they can charge a lot for the first ones? I don't know. John Bay said, I'm expecting at least some of the conversation will be about everyone going bonkers about the latest magnet. So if you don't know what John Bay is referring to, I think John Bay is referring to LK99. It is a new material that is thought to potentially lead to superconductivity at room temperature, and that could have revolutionary impacts on some aspects of our lives. Although I've read some other things saying, number one, it's not clear that they've really achieved what they thought they've achieved. And number two, commercializing it and making it something that can be manufactured at scale is going to be a real challenge. Philip Mazie asks, how's it going, Warren? I got to say, I've been in a great mood. My house sold last month. That burden is off my shoulders. I've spent 7 months trying to sell my house. My divorce is long complete and happy and peaceful. My kids are doing great. I'm going to the gym almost every day, eating well, eating a lot to build muscle mass, but eating well and eating healthy. Had a great date yesterday. Looks like we're going to be meeting again on Tuesday night, so that's a positive. Went out dancing. I go out dancing a lot. I go out with friends a lot. I have a really good life, and I'm really looking forward to going to Japan. So everything's great. I'm really doing well. I've noticed, in fact, that I've been in a better mood lately. I think a lot of things have come together to put me in a better mood. I go out. I get out. I'm living in I'm house sitting. A home with cats, just a basement apartment. It just worked out perfect for my plans for going to Japan after the summer's over. And I got into the habit now of going down to Melbourne. I'm up in a place called Rockledge. I drive down to Melbourne 3 days a week during the week, hang out at a place called Groundswell, which is a really cool place for startups and innovators and entrepreneurs and freelancers, people who work from home, people who don't have a company to work for. And there's some startup companies there as well. It's nice to be around people. It's nice to be around entrepreneurial types. So I got that during the day, and then I go out dancing at night or, hanging out with friends at night. So very, very fortunate. I have a really, really good life. Everything is great. And I appreciate what I have. There's so many people who really have great lives, but they're just grumpy they don't have more. So I think I'm doing really well, and I'm really happy about it. And you know, I get to do this, right? I don't know if you guys realize it, but I enjoy doing these live streams. I enjoy making videos. Yesterday, by the way, I had a Zoom with James Stevenson to talk about Megapack and Tesla Energy and how Tesla's accounting for deferred revenue and for something called unsatisfied performance obligations. That video will be public tomorrow. The video will probably be ready for supporters today. So if you are a YouTube channel member at the exclusive content level or above, if you are a Twitter subscriber, if you are a subscriber to if you support her on the Daily Lie, if you are a Patreon supporter, you're going to get early access to that video, like many of my videos. And I'll be doing a live stream right after this one on the Daily Lie, warrenredlich.locals.com. The link to that is pinned at the top of the chat, and it's at the top of the video description, or second line of the video description. So please check out the Daily Lie, warrenredlich.locals.com, and of course the t-shirts at elonbits.com. I don't really make much money on these, by the way. I love them. I wear them all the time. I think they're cool shirts. Some of them are funny. Insanely Gigantic is a great shirt. People notice it. The Tesla Man t-shirt is the most popular shirt, so please check that out. So let's go. I like the jab at FUD Motors wrap for Cybertruck. Oh yeah, there was a wrap of Cybertruck that was wrapped to look like an F-150. That was hilarious. 69 volts. Mark Plot says it should be 69 volts instead of 48 volts. Thank you, Breaknet Trent, for joining the channel. Trent, if you weren't watching already, I answered your question at the beginning of the video. You asked me why I'm not doing this as a Twitter space. I do Twitter spaces. I have plans for other Twitter spaces coming up. Yeah, that's going good. Let's see. John Bay says, I want to see the impact safety test videos. Yeah, for those who don't remember, there was a video that was published by Tesla. It was like an April Fool's joke where it looked like you were going to see the Cybertruck crash test, and it just kept repeating and repeating and repeating, and you never saw what actually happened. It did. There were some little bits given away. If you looked, like, there was a spot where you could see the underside, and that gave people a little bit of insight. Gabriel Vital asks, in 2030, will Tesla be greater than Apple market cap? I think Tesla's market cap is going to be bigger than Apple's by 2025. You know, a lot depends on execution, but I think there's two critical things happening. Leave aside FSD. If the FSD crosses the threshold and Tesla delivers on autonomous driving and the robotaxi network starts, then the market cap goes off the charts. If bot goes into production and they start delivering bots in any volume, market cap goes off the charts. But if you just stick with delivering vehicles and delivering megapacks and Tesla Energy, if you look at the growth of Tesla Energy, it's growing really fast right now. Like, it's not going to be very, if it's growing like maybe tripling every year, maybe more. They've said anywhere from 150 to 200% at one point to 200 to 300% at another point growth. Energy storage is growing rapidly. The video I'm going to publish tomorrow with James Stevenson, we talk about the accounting for the growth of Tesla Energy and how it's actually understated in the financials because of the accounting. So that's going to sky. And then my prediction is that by middle of next year, we're going to know for sure that Tesla is building at least 4 next generation vehicle factories at roughly the same time. There'll be Giga Mexico. There'll be another one in Texas. There'll be another one in China. There'll be another one in Berlin. We already know the plans for an additional factory to build vehicles, additional factory space in Berlin to build vehicles. They're not building another Model Y line. They're not building more Model Y lines. They're not building Model 3. That's going to be next gen vehicle. They're building it in Berlin. We've heard from a highly reliable source that they're building it in Texas. We know they've said publicly they're building it in Mexico. Obviously, they're going to build one in China. Are they going to go further? They're going to build one in India. They're going to build one in Japan. Who knows? So when we see all that, it's going to be crazy. So when you add that together, when you think about the volume of vehicles that will be delivered once those 4 factories ramp, and the volume of revenue generated by Megapack ramping well beyond, because 40 gigawatt hours in Lathrop, 40 gigawatt hours in Shanghai, it's probably going to be a mega factory in India. That's one of the most likely things I could see them manufacturing in India is a mega factory, a factory they would build there. I don't think, and you go out to 2030 and you're talking about a terawatt hour of megapacks and power walls at about $500 a kilowatt hour, which is $500 million a gigawatt hour times 1,000. That's a lot of money, right? That's huge money at high margin. So conservative stat sodomist, interesting name, says Boomer Mama said STH was September 6th. I don't know which indicators tell us how long it takes. I don't know what that. Oh, she's talking about a delivery event September 6th? No, I don't think that's happening. I think the fact that in the Q2 call they said later this year, that's a clear sign it's not happening in Q3. Mark Plot says early September initial delivery. They're not manufacturing yet. They're still just producing test vehicles. Breakneck Trent says currently on X while listening to this seems redundant. Okay. Well, I mean, I would say this, Trent, not everyone on YouTube follows all the details on Twitter like you and I do on X Twitter. Not everybody on detail on here is on there. This video is for people who aren't following the, not everyone. I assume that not everybody watching YouTube is watching, is watching X like a hawk. Liz S says, do you think that Cybertruck will have the same configuration as Semi with one front motor only active when necessary? I think that makes sense from an efficiency standpoint if you're trying to squeeze out a little bit of extra range. I don't know how difficult it is to manufacture that at scale. And I don't know that it adds that much value. And if it adds a lot of cost and doesn't add a lot of value, I wouldn't do it. Semi being so expensive, it has room to add that extra cost. If your goal is to deliver Cybertruck at lower cost, I'm not sure that makes sense. And they're pretty efficient with 2 and 3 motor powertrains already anyway. I mean, I have a 3 motor powertrain in my car. I have friends with Model 3. The Model 3 long range and has a dual motor configuration. It doesn't disengage a motor, and they're still highly efficient. So I think their efficiency is so good with dual and tri-motor arrangements that they're not losing that much. Ripcord says, Warren, tell us the drama you heard happened at Tesla takeover. Did it include Corey Steuben and Sandy? Curious if the drama you heard in Corey leaving are related or simply what happened. The drama I heard about had nothing to do with Corey or Sandy or Monroe Associates. The drama I heard about was, so-called Chairgate, which was just the guy running the event asked people who were sitting in the front row to move over to make room for his family, and there ended up being a dispute about it, and John, who's Tesla's club's president for Silicon Valley, has been such a solid member of the Tesla community for so long. I'm not saying he was right in this particular moment. I just think people are making mountains out of molehills. As far as Corey leaving, I don't think it had anything to do with Tesla takeover, but I have no idea. I don't know. I love both of them. I think Sandy and Corey, I've met both of them. Love both of them. I think they're both great people, and I would guess that this has nothing to do with a Tesla takeover. That would suggest that they're, one or both of them are highly emotional and respond excessively to really trivial events, and that seems unlikely. Mooney Real says, let's electrify the future already. Yes, Pepsi there was a report that Pepsi's very happy with Tesla Semi. That is true. John Hogan says, I'd like to talk to someone from Tesla how real estate can provide the way to sell more vehicles. Other countries have an advantage over the US. I don't think Tesla has a problem with selling more vehicles. They have a problem with producing more vehicles. New Pepsi Tesla Semi video on Vimeo. I'll take a look at it. What I remember is that Pepsi apparently described in some depth how they're using Semi, and they're very happy with it. They're doing some fairly significant long haul runs with it, and it's going great. Long haul, not true long haul, but longer runs than people thought they could do. Thank you, Richly. Do you remember when Elon talked about a solar tonneau cover option for the Cybertruck? Any thoughts? I think a solar cover for the tonneau and Cybertruck it would not be worth the money. People don't recognize is that it would be basically the equivalent of one solar panel, the size of the tonneau cover. It wouldn't be pointed in the optimal direction most of the time. So maybe you're talking about 400 watts in your dreams. 400 watts, 10 hours a day would be 4 kilowatt hours. That would be, I don't know, 3%, 2 to 3% of the battery pack of a Cybertruck. Is that significant? I don't think so. Have I given any thought to a reasonable ramp rate for Cybertruck if true production of meaningful volume isn't until second quarter 2024? I think it'll take 12 to 18 months to ramp. I mean, I think Elon has said they expect to ramp quicker. You don't have to worry about paint shop. There's a couple of steps in the manufacturing process that are out of the way. I think they mapped out their production plans on simulation. They've showed us how they use simulation to plan out manufacturing, and they've had plenty of opportunity to work with simulation software and really nail down how they're going to manufacture at scale. I think probably the biggest holdup for Cybertruck production and meaningful volume will be availability of 4680 cells. The Arch Texan says Megapack will optimize existing power plants to run 24/7. So there's two different things. I agree with that. The one thing is that the most efficient power plants will run full blast all the time, and any excess power they generate will go into megapacks, and that will reduce the need for inefficient energy, electricity sources. And then they also make solar and wind more viable. Do I think the Cybertruck will have the same 3-motor? Oh, that question was already asked. Cybertruck 5,000 by December 2020. I think we'll be lucky to get 1,000 by December 2023. I think we might be lucky to get 100 by December 2023. Mark Potachnik says X Spaces on TV and video. I think we're going to see Spaces, Twitter/X Spaces. I think we're going to see that morph to have the video of the speakers instead of just icons for the speakers, profile pictures for the speakers. I could see X Spaces replacing Zoom in the long haul. I think there's a lot of potential for X to do a lot of different things. What do I make of the conversion rate on Ford Lightning purchases versus reservations? Do you think the Cybertruck could suffer the same fate? No, I don't think Cybertruck will suffer the same fate. Here's the key distinction. When Tesla makes EVs, they're awesome and people want them. When other companies make EVs, they often suck and people don't want them that much. I mean, Lucid has vehicles piling up on the lot. I'm going to cover Lucid later in this video. Lucid Motors just lowered prices and they're offering this insane lease deal. Updated PT plus the new superconductor. I don't do price targets if that's what that PT is for. Thank you, Oopsie Daisy. Oh, somebody else disagreed with me about Highland, so let's just talk about Project... I feel like I talk about Project Highland too much. I will just say, listen, and Rob Maurer and I had an exchange on Twitter or X today, this week, where he disagreed with me, and I'm flattered that he bothered to respond, and I think he's thoughtful. I'm just going to say it again. When all you people who believe in Project Highland can agree on what Project Highland's going to be, like get reasonably close to an agreement on what Project Highland's going to be, then we can have a conversation. If Project Highland is everything anybody wants it to be, for those who don't know, Project Highland is a theory that there will be a refresh of Model 3 with new headlights, new taillights. They're going to replace the dashboard from wood with something else. It's going to have more range. It's going to cost less money. It's going to have front and rear castings in 4680 structural pack, or it's going to have rear castings in 2170 cells. It's going to have lithium iron phosphate cells. It's going to have lithium manganese iron phosphate cells, iron manganese phosphate. Like it's everything everybody wants. It's going to have ambient lighting in the inside. It's going to be like 100 different improvements all at once, and it's going to cost $5,000 less. Look, I'm sure Santa Claus comes to your house every year and drops off Project Highland toys. I don't buy it. And I don't understand why Tesla would deliver a brand new Model 3 with 25 miles fewer. See, Tesla put back on the website the long-range Model 3 with 25 miles fewer range right before Project Highland is supposedly going to start delivering. Why would they introduce a new long-range Model 3? And I would ask people, well, is that Project Highland? Oh, no, that's not Project Highland. Why not? Because it's not an improvement. It doesn't cost less money. So it's not what people want. Why isn't the new long-range Model 3 Project Highland? Stainless steel water bottles and t-shirts at elonbits.com, by the way. I love these. I use these all the time. Love the shirts. So I don't want to talk too much about Highland because it's just like dying. And thank you, Oopsie Daisy. Name any other OEM that does mega packs and battery cell. Well, Lucid Motors claimed they were going to be doing energy storage products. They claimed it. BYD does battery cells. I think BYD might make something roughly comparable to Megapack at some point. BYD has the potential to do that. They may already have some kind of energy storage product. It's possible because BYD does make batteries. Mooney Real says, can Elon merge Tesla and SpaceX into one super company? No. No, he can't. No, he shouldn't. No, there's no reason to. Tesla is a publicly traded company. SpaceX and X are not publicly traded companies. It's much easier to manage a company that's not publicly traded. They have different goals. They have different teams. They are able to collaborate to some extent, but it does not make sense to merge them, and it would not work. Is Elon still the chief twit, or all the employees now X-Men? That's a good question. All the male employees are X-Men. We got to have our politically correct inside the company. Mark Plot, yes, I did see that Fremont is building a new tent for manufacturing. That's cool. Brian Keck says, what if Highland is next generation vehicle? It's not. Move on. It's a totally different thing. Yeah, Giga China's readying Highland for September. The last time they said Giga China was getting ready for Highland, Tesla China said, no, we're not, and it didn't happen. You know, you tell the story, it turns out to not be true, then it's okay, well, it's going to happen later. People are going to learn that gap reporting is variable based on arbitrary decisions. Okay. Trent, it's great that you think you know what Highland's about, but the rest of your cult doesn't agree. Evan asks if I'm maintaining my stance on Model 3 Highland. Yes, I am 100%. I will die on this hill. I have to be wrong because you guys have made like Highland anything and everything. So if there's one change, if all they change is the headlights, you guys are right and I'm wrong, right? They could make the car cost $5,000 more. They could not do castings. They could have no other significant changes. If they just change the headlights, you guys are going to claim Highland is real and I'm wrong. Even though it doesn't do 90% of what you guys have said it's going to be. Have I seen any info on how many of the 2 million Cybertruck pre-orders were for tri-motor, dual, and single motors? No, I have not seen anything like that. There is a spreadsheet out there on the internet, and it may be possible to figure it out from the spreadsheet, but I haven't tried. Somebody may have figured it out. I just haven't tried. Which of the recent UAP sightings are part of Tesla or SpaceX secret projects? Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Yes, Project Highland is still a myth to me. I think Corey left Monroe. John B says Corey left Monroe because they can't afford to pay him what he's worth. If I were to guess, I would say it's because Corey expected to take over Monroe and Associates, and at some point he realized that Sandy's not leaving yet. And if Sandy's sticking around for a few more years, then Corey doesn't really get to take over. And that's my best guess, but I don't know. Is Highland a nod to Ford's mass production process? Well, Connecting the Dots claims that Highland is a reference to some Ford factory from however long ago. Mark Plot says Warren, Aptera could not go uphill with overheating. Thank you, Mark. That is a good moment to shift gears. I hope you guys can hear this. This is an Aptera video.
It had some obvious flaws, and it could barely make it uphill without overheating.
We're slowing it down again.
I can't hear this.
I think you're the first person to ever drive this on the hill.
The guy from Aptera, the Aptera founder, says no one's driven it on a hill before. The battery overheats when it's going uphill, and he said no one's ever driven it on a hill before. This is, to me, is a Nikola moment, right? Like, they've only driven the thing on flat ground. People, Aptera is the next Lucid. Which, speaking of which, wait, where's my Lucid thing? I want to stress, I called this 3 years ago, September of 2020. I called Lucid a fraud. I said they were not going to survive, that they were bullshitters, excuse my French. And, Ross just can't. And to be fair to Ross, I had talked to Ross about Lucid Motors maybe 2+ years ago, and Ross was suspicious of Lucid Motors. So other people are saying, oh, Ross, you were pumping Lucid. No, he wasn't. Ross was suspicious of Lucid. Ross was publicly cautious about Lucid 2 years ago. So as much as I like to pick on Ross, I don't think he's that far out of whack on this one. But I'm just bragging. I called Lucid 3 years ago. I wanted it to be true. I believed it until the reveal in September of 2020. Just a couple other quick notes. There's this guy on Twitter, David Zipper, who did this thread about how we should go to smaller vehicles and how we've bloated our vehicles and so on and so forth. And I just shared a Consumer Reports article about how death rates for drivers vary by car size. And luxury SUVs had the lowest death rates in the 3-year study, and small cars had the highest. People don't drive big cars because they want to kill people. They don't drive big cars because they want to be inefficient. People drive big cars because big cars are safer, right? We want to be in bigger cars. Having more mass protecting us is safer for the occupants of the vehicle. And if you hit a pedestrian with a 3,000-pound car at 50 miles an hour or a 5,000-pound car at 50,000 miles an hour, the pedestrian's probably going to die anyway. There's some incremental increase in risk to pedestrians. I agree with that. But the benefit to the people inside the car, a lot of crashes are cars hitting trees, right? A lot of crashes, pedestrians are a lot of the deaths on the road, but a lot of deaths are cars hitting trees and other things like that. And having a larger vehicle protect you is really valuable. So, not-nosed punk leaving our cheese out in the wind. No, thank you. Just a fun thing here. I watched it. There was an interview of Elon, or conversation with the head of Pacific Gas and Electric, the utility PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. And she was asking him questions. And she would ask the question in the wrong way, and it would trigger in Elon one of his stock answers. Like, she had a question that was like, Elon, how could we use AI to improve the grid? But she would preface the question with, what are your hopes and fears about AI, and how can we help it improve the grid? And he just went into his hopes and fears about AI and never talked about using AI to improve the grid. I'm not sure Elon knows a whole lot about how AI would be used to improve the grid, but there's this challenge when you're using ChatGPT, Bard, Stable Diffusion about how to phrase your prompt to the AI to get a good result. And so I asked the question on X, what's the most challenging AI for prompt engineering? And Elon won. That was intended to be a joke because, as far as we know, Elon is not an AI. And of course, it was 69%, which suggests that we are living in a simulation. And okay, I just wanted to talk about one other thing. People who follow me a lot know I have very, very large predictions for what's going to happen for Tesla market cap and Tesla share price. And I think where I'm coming from is first principles. If they're going to deliver 20 million cars in 2030, if they're going to deliver 1 terawatt hour of battery storage in 2030, if they're going to deliver a robo-taxi network with 10 million Tesla-owned vehicles, if they're going to start delivering bots in volume before 2030, the market cap really does go crazy. And people often compare, this is Ricochet Rowdy saying Tesla market cap will, because I have a poll about it. He says Tesla market cap will exceed global GDP by a 2x order of magnitude by 2030. So first of all, he's got global GDP wrong. Global GDP is going to be in the ballpark of 130 or 140 trillion, maybe 200 trillion, just on current projections in 2030. ElonBits.com for the merch. And so number one, GDP is higher than he's projecting it's going to be. Number two, I think estimates are off. I think global GDP is going to be much higher because there's so much massive technological innovation. Robotaxis are going to accelerate the global economy because it lowers the cost of transportation, which effectively lowers transaction costs, which gives people money to spend on other things. That's going to accelerate global GDP. It's also going to lower costs, lower prices. So effective GDP is higher. Standard of living is higher. Bot provides labor where we don't have labor already. It does dangerous work that humans don't want to do. It does unpleasant work that humans don't want to do. Generative AI, we don't even have any grasp of how amazing AI is going to be. Generative AI is like ChatGPT, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and more coming. We have no real way of wrapping our heads around how much that's going to change the world. I think we're going to see massive GDP growth in a lot of ways. And then the second thing is that GDP is the wrong thing to compare to. GDP would be a better comparison with, let's say, company revenue or company profit. Some people say it should be profit, not revenue, but regardless, market cap is something like 8 or 10 times sales. So you shouldn't be looking at market cap. At worst, you should be looking at revenue. So when I say Tesla's going to have, let's say, $100 trillion in market cap, that might be $1 trillion in revenue, right? Maybe it's 10 trillion in revenue, right? But it's not, that's a totally different thing from GDP. So just wanted to cover those points. All right, let me go back to the chat. Have I seen the reports of a $27,000 new Model 3 in China? Of course. Project Highland is everything you want it to be. Now it's lowering the price of a Tesla Model 3 by $7,000. Sure. Project Highland is amazing. It's the unboxed process. Jesus is going to come down and bless it. It's all those things. Yes. Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and maybe Moses are all going to come down out of the sky and they're going to bless the new Project Highland, and it's going to be everything you want it to be. Steel Curtain says Stephen Mark Ryan released a video last night with Pepsi and its truck drivers discussing their experiences. Yeah, and I don't think it's just Stephen. There's a lot of stuff like that out there, and credit to Stephen, he does a great job. Why is Cruise expanding their operations? Their fleet is growing massively. Does that worry you? They have LiDAR. So Cruise and Waymo are expanding. First of all, they're not growing massively. They're growing in a very limited way. They're still losing money. They're giving their rides away for free. When are they going to show up a business model that actually works? They haven't shown a model that works. They don't have their cost structure down. Tesla's going to be delivering robo-taxis that are going to be able to do rides where Tesla's into the internal cost of the vehicle is going to be 10 cents a mile. Are Cruise and Waymo anywhere close to that? Are they below $1 a mile? Are they below $2 a mile in their own operating costs? Operating, all costs in, amortization and everything. I don't think they are. Tesla has a massive PP, right? Will Tesla expand solar panel Powerwall production? I live near Bangor, Maine, and Tesla solar isn't available here. Should I wait for Tesla? Is there a decent substitute? So I don't know what the substitute options are. I don't know why Tesla solar isn't available there. I believe that the problem right now for solar, and they said this in the Q2 earnings report, is that with interest rates high, it's hard to persuade buyers. It's not necessarily a good decision for buyers to invest in solar because the interest cost of setting up the panels is so high. You're going to see an expansion of solar when interest rates come down. I think that Tesla is going to expand solar panels for Tesla's own operations in the next 2 years. For their dojo supercomputer clusters, for their factories, for superchargers. I think Tesla's going to massively expand their own solar. Tesla Electric in Texas. Lightning has a price problem. Rivian has a price problem. Lucid Motors has a price problem. Yeah, I think Lucid announced an up to 18% price cut and insane lease deals. I got the email myself. I just threw it out. I think most of my audience, and you guys can speak to this, I think most of the audience that follows me here is tired of Lucid Motors. Like, the story's dead. Like, everybody knows it's dead. It's not interesting anymore. It's just like, when is it going to finally collapse? Nick Stewart says, I think Ford is experiencing the Osborne effect. They announced their vehicles will get access to the Tesla network, but not this year. Why would a consumer buy a Ford EV this year? That is a potential problem. 472 Water says, do you think that Waymo and Cruise are wrong about FSD? Are wrong about FSD? Are you worried about them at all, or is Elon Musk just smarter than everyone else? Well, I think they're wrong in their approach to self-driving. I think the requirement of HD maps is wrong. I think the use of LiDAR, their cost of establishing a vehicle with self-driving is too high. Their cost of delivering rides is too high. I think the real answer is what Tesla has shown is you get millions of cars on the road collecting data, and you get like supercomputer clusters to process the data and train the vehicles to drive better. And I don't think Waymo and Cruise are there. They don't have the volume of data, and I think Waymo has access to supercomputer clusters from Google, but I just don't think they're there. And it's not that I don't think Elon is necessarily smarter than anyone else. He's really smart. He works really hard, and he hires good people. And there's more. And he's not afraid to take risks. Like putting a bunch of cameras and chips in cars that aren't going to be effective for years. Millions of cars incurring extra expense because you want to be ready for this future. What if Highland is the Model 2 and Robotaxi is radically different design, not for sale? There is no Model 2, so I'm not even going to address that. The next generation vehicle is not Highland. No one has ever credibly said that the next generation vehicle is Highland. It's supposed to be an updated Model 3, a refresh of Model 3. I mean, you guys can make it whatever you want it to be. Am I going to pre-order the new $340,000 Cadillac EV since you sold your house and have extra cash? I have no desire for a Cadillac. Breakneck Trent says materials in, products out efficiently. Oh, Highland is materials in, products out efficiently. Right, because Tesla doesn't manufacture efficiently now. They never tried to manufacture. It's suddenly decided, hey, as long as we're making all these cars, we should try to make them efficiently now. Suddenly a new change. Hey, let's make them more efficient. Like, that never occurred to them. They've never updated their manufacturing processes ever before now. It has to be this like magic refresh for them to update their manufacturing processes. Oh, thank you, Mark, for posting the link. My Cybertruck order is around 1.3 million plays, and I wasn't allowed to pick how many motors. Right. Smash the like button. Yes, please smash the like button. Please like this video, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. John Bay says, I've gotten tired of people saying that Tesla isn't focused on profit. That's just silly. Well, I think they're not focused on short-term profit. I think they're focused on long-term profit. 472 Water asks, do you want to buy into SpaceX? I have looked into buying into SpaceX. There's a site called EquityZen. There's another one called... Look up EquityZen. There's another one that I know about. I can't think of off the top of my head. Sites where you can get access to people who already own shares, or they own shares of funds that own shares of SpaceX stock. I would buy SpaceX stock if it was possible to buy it in a reasonable manner, but the way you buy it now is you pay like a 6% commission to buy in. You pay 2% annual fees to the fund that holds the stock. You're paying 20% of the carried interest, which is the profit that's made on it when you finally get it. And you're buying it at a lesser gain, so you're losing a lot. It's not a great option to buy SpaceX at this time. I will probably buy Starlink on the IPO depending on the pricing. When will Starlink IPO? I'm going to guess it IPOs next year. That's a guess. The Pepsi Tesla semi video talked about the charging. Yeah, that's true. Derwin Pye brought this up, and I thought this was really striking. The Pepsi Tesla semi video talked about the charging rate being 5% to 90% in 20 to 30 minutes. How does that reflect on Cybertruck charging? I don't think there's anything to do with Cybertruck charging. So what I find interesting about that is, let's suppose that semi has an 800 kilowatt hour battery pack. 80% of that would be 640 kilowatt hours. So you got to deliver 640 kilowatt hours in 20 to 30 minutes. Well, that's a minimum of 1.3 megawatt charging. I've seen reports that the mega chargers are 750 watts or 750 kilowatts. Those two things don't go together. And what you're going to have what we typically see with Tesla charging is, in the beginning, you have a high charge rate and it slows down as the battery pack gets closer to full. So I think that the mega chargers, and I think Limiting Factor went through this in a video, I think the mega chargers for semi are actually hitting like a 3 megawatt charge rate at their peak. That's my guess. Any comment on Nikola or hydrogen? I think Nikola is a comedy show that doesn't deserve mention, and hydrogen is a comedy show that doesn't. There's some use for hydrogen in some limited ways, but it's not going to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. Will Tesla's semi-charging mileage improve with software update? Probably. Is V12 feature complete? I think it might be. It's end-to-end. I don't know what feature complete means. They've never said what the features are. That's actually one of my questions, is like, what's left? What else needs to be done? I think it's the last major feature. I think there's still things like driving inside a parking structure that I don't think it's going to solve. I think, you know, how to operate within a robo-taxi world is going to be something that needs to be solved. Am I concerned about the economic impact of all these vehicle manufacturers who don't seem like they will survive in any meaningful way a few years from now? No, I mean, look, the camera industry changed completely with digital cameras and then cell phones. Was this a massive disruption to society? You're going to see technological change is going to eliminate some jobs and eliminate some companies, and it will also create massive market opportunities with people with freed up cash, because the new thing is less expensive and frees up their cash to buy something else, and it'll create more markets, and you'll see positive economic change as a result of technological change. We have always seen that in the past. I see no reason why that would change in the future. Aqua Velva says, Tesla has done a great job making some people believe Highland is a myth, preventing the Osborne effect. Sure, okay, that's what it is. It's not that like lots of desperate YouTubers and content creators have come up with this fantasy of Project Highland and made it whatever they want to be and got audiences to believe all their BS. That it can't be that. It has to be evil Tesla is hiding the truth. Okay. When will Tesla semi start using platooning? That's a long way off. Platooning is a long way off. That's when there's one driver in the front semi and there's 2 or 3 semis following behind. Platooning is a long way off. That's years away. 3, 4, 5 years away. Mr. Hamas must maybe a holographic android. ChatGPT might be impressive in some instances, but how about everyone in Gen MXZ just learn to read and write? Yeah. Any comment on LK99? I addressed LK99 earlier. This is the supposedly new material discovered for room temperature superconductors. I don't know enough. My general sense is, first of all, we see stories like this all the time and they end up not panning out. So I swear, like every 2 or 3 times a month, there's a new cure for Alzheimer's that never pans out. If it does pan out as being real, you still have the challenge of manufacturing it at scale and finding a useful way of using it at scale. And I think these things are all minimum of 5 years away. It could be, but from what I understand, if it's true, it's a very big deal. I just don't know enough. That's outside my wheelhouse. Hello to Hong Kong. Let's see. Yeah, if a lot of people didn't watch it, I did a video this week about whether Tesla, there's a lot of talk. Gary Black started this conversation about whether Tesla should buy Uber, which is just absolutely dumb. It's dumber than rocks. The market cap is $95 billion. Tesla would probably have to pay $120 billion to buy it. Tesla has $20 billion in cash. I don't see how this is working, but I made a video, and Farzad made a video about it, and Herbert made a video about it. My video was after theirs, so apparently they got all the views. But I talked about it in a different way, and this is why people, if you're going to watch my channel, this is why you should watch my channel, because I take different angles on things. And so I compared buying Uber to buying Lyft. Lyft has a $4.4 billion market cap. I think that's a much more interesting question whether Tesla should just buy Uber. And not for whatever reason, not a lot of people watched that video, maybe because they thought the issue was beat to death. But this is what I think distinguishes my channel from the other channels, is I take a different angle. Just like my position on Project Highland. You don't have to agree with me on Project Highland. At least you can appreciate I'm offering you a perspective that you're not getting from everyone else. If you want the same story from everybody, then watch other channels and don't watch mine. If you want to hear a different angle on things, I think I often offer a different angle. That's why I started. I started with a video about Starship in 2019 because Elon said something about Starship and nobody else talked about it. And I jumped on it. And I think I said something useful and interesting. And it it ended up not panning out, of course, but oh, right, that's it. Project Highland is actually a Lucid Motors project. I like it. I like it, Melody. Thank you. Warren frontal surface area Redlick. How are my leaps doing? I think my options are, I'm not sure. I think the options I just bought, I have 2 sets of options. I think the first set is still up over the total change, but you know, they're not up very much because the stock fell. My new options are down a little bit. I'm not worried about it. They're a long play. We'll see what happens. I had a sarcasm moment. I don't remember. Go to the end here. Yes, I saw Unplugged Performances offering their a package for police cars. Uber is basically a map app. Why would so Sprite XP says Uber is basically a map app. Why would Tesla pay so much for that? So I appreciate that you have your quick opinion on that. If you want an alternate perspective on why Tesla might buy Uber, or I would say buy Lyft, watch the video I published this week about whether Tesla should buy Uber and Lyft. I think I offer a different perspective. Yes, Philip, Lyft would be a better buy. You know, there is more data in Uber and Lyft than just mapping. David Rucker says, I wish we could get more info on the 4680 ramp. Drew Baglino gave us a lot of info on the 4680 ramp in the, where did I have that? Baglino gave us he gave us an update. There was a substantial update on 4680 in the Q2 earnings call. So check out the Q2 earnings call or scroll back in this video. I talked about it. I need to educate more people about automotive safety and Teslas. My family called me mentally ill for not wanting to drive a car without seatbelts and mocked me. I don't know what you mean by for not wanting to drive a car without seatbelts. You know, people who don't believe in seatbelts, I think that ship has sailed. You're not going to persuade them. And by the way, look, we're going to wrap this up in about 5 minutes. I'm going to start a new video on the Daily Lie where I'm going to be talking about a proposal from Vivek Ramaswamy to have voting tests, a constitutional amendment for voting tests, which Elon supported and I do not support. And my Twitter audience does not agree with them, and I'll talk about that. And I'm also going to talk about something that may have been a public health issue. I may talk about that a little bit. I can't talk, something I can't talk about on YouTube. I try not to talk about politics on YouTube. I occasionally make a mistake and talk about politics on YouTube. If one buys a company, oh, thank you, Mark Potashnik in the chat. Mark Potashnik just put a link to my Uber and Lyft video, so please check that out. Thank you, Mark. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to Mark Platt, Jim Whitehead for moderating. I discussed like the practicalities of that in the video. Don't I think that Elon doesn't like Tesla stock going up a lot? I don't think Elon cares much one way or the other about the stock going up or down. He's focused on producing products and delivering on what they're trying to achieve in his companies. Kathy K, you can watch my video or you can not watch my video. You can argue with me on here about whether Tesla should buy Lyft, but maybe you should watch the video first and then we can talk. Yeah, anybody right now who's saying it's a dumb idea for Tesla to buy them, like, watch the video. Like, maybe I said something in that video, in my Uber Lyft video, that might change your mind. Maybe. It's possible. The Austin cathode factory in relation to, yeah, I think there's a couple of big things that are coming for Tesla. The lithium refinery in Corpus Christi, the cathode facility in Giga Texas. I think there's something about adding silicon to the anode that's coming. There are going to be significant improvements to the 4680 cell coming forward. All right, so we've got about 2 minutes left here. I'm just taking a look back in the chat just to see, because chat has been active. I really appreciate all the comments in the chat. Will I invest in X? No. I don't. First of all, I don't think there's going to be an opportunity to invest in X. If there is an opportunity to invest in SpaceX or Boring Company or Neuralink or X, I'll make the decision when I see what the opportunity is. What's the price and what's offered? There'll be a prospectus. I'll do a video about why I'm investing in it or why I'm not. Toyota does not own the name Highland. They own the name Highlander. And I don't think Tesla's ever been talking about calling the Model 3. No one has said that Tesla's going to call it the Model 3 Highland. It's going to be a Model 3 refresh. Tesla's high nickel cell, I think it's already a high nickel cell. It's just other features haven't been added yet. Well, they did say chemistry for chemistry, so my guess is Cyber Cell might have more nickel in it. Oh my God. Brian Keck says, I think Tesla already has the data Lyft has with their own fleet data. Are you sure? Well, is it really that hard to watch my video and like see? I went into depth into what kind of data Uber and Lyft have that Tesla probably doesn't have. There might be some real value there. Have I been in the Tesla tunnel in Vegas yet? Yes, there's a video on my channel from the Vegas tunnel. Have I seen Meet Kevin's latest video about Vivek's business involving the Alzheimer's drug? No, I do not like Vivek. I don't particularly love Kevin lately. So I don't know how much I would trust Kevin on it, but I think that Vivek and RFK Jr. are going to blow up when they actually get hard questions in debates. Elon said it again this time, buy Tesla stock when it's low and sell when it's high. Just buy Tesla stock and hold it. Military's lining up to use Starlink. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for watching. Please check out the t-shirts and the stainless steel water bottles at elonbits.com. Please support me on the Locals platform, which is where we're going next. Video on the Locals platform next. Link in the top of the chat. Link in the top of the video description. Support me on those platforms, on Patreon, as a YouTube channel member, as a Twitter subscriber, at the exclusive content level above for early access to videos. Like this video, share, and subscribe. Thank you to the moderators, and thank everyone so much for watching. And no, they're not going to integrate Starlink into vehicles. No.